Hey guys, Steve here. Today we got to look at the Charlemagne, ship you don't see too often. It's a tier 6 French cruiser. Going to be talking about what to do when your flank either collapses or your team abandons the flank to start the game. This is something, it's probably the most asked question that I get. You know, I keep an eye on comments on every video. I read all the comments. I get questions from Discord, you know, lots of different sources. I keep an eye on Reddit, what's going on there. Probably the biggest, one of the most talked about things that people have trouble with is what to do when my team does this or doesn't do this, or, you know, what to do when this situation happens. Here's going to be a pretty good example here. There's a concept in this game called kiting. Basically, kiting means sailing away from the enemy with the intent to draw them after you, is basically how I would define it if I wrote the dictionary definition of it. Loosely, you can always just say pretty much any time you're sailing away from people and trying to keep them engaged with you, that you're kiting, or even just sailing away, you know, would probably be the loosest definition. To open up though, we got a Jean Bart on the enemy team, we got a Jean Bart on our team. Now both sides are going to melt the Jean Barts very quickly. Our destroyer, you can see him right there. I don't know what he does off the beginning of the match. Maybe he has a decent opening play, maybe not. But I do know that he dies very quickly, like 2 or 3 minutes into it. So this is not an uncommon situation where I'm set up here. And frankly, if we get spotting, you know, with the island cover we have here and the, you know, the offensive output that the ship is capable of, you can see these groupings here. We don't have Norm Scott on this. This is a Rue build, so those of you that run Lemon can get even more accuracy out of this thing, but in general, these salvos are quite nice. We're able to do some damage here, especially if we can keep that spotting, you know, coming from our team. But, like we see here, as this sequence develops, we're going to lose the spotting. Not only is the destroyer going to kill himself, you can see he's trying to torp the Jean Bart. Maybe he contributes to killing the Jean Bart, maybe not. We'll find out here in a second, but regardless, he gets himself killed. He is the team's only destroyer, so killing yourself right off the bat just to get a torp salvo on a battleship, really not a very good trade. And our battleship, like we said, is getting as focused as their battleship is. So, you know, this is a common situation. He does eat a torp, maybe a couple torps there, but, you know, between us and the other people focusing this Jean Bart, we get rid of him pretty quickly. We're unspotted here. Now this is fine. This is the game plan. I want to continue to do this until this flank is cleared. I'm fine just sitting here as long as these targets remain spotted. Once that destroyer decides to get on the cap, though, that's what happens to him. He gets on the cap, and then he's got at least one Wichita. I think 2 Wichitas over here now that this game is coming back to me a little bit more. He's, of course, you know, he's on the cap, and they know he's on the cap because it said blue team was capturing it. So, of course, they pop the radar and spot him, and then he gets himself killed. Destroyers, I try and remind you guys constantly, do not die while being on the cap with the mentality, I gotta get this cap. You very rarely have to get the cap. It's often a good idea to get the cap, but it's not worth killing yourself doing so. When you got double Wichita coverage, double radar coverage, both of them that have firing angles on you, getting on the cap, number one, I can promise you, you will not get the cap. I can also, with a fairly high degree of certainty, alright, I can't promise you won't get the cap, but again, I can say both of these with a high degree of certainty. You're probably going to die, you're probably not going to get the cap. So, ergo, it's a bad play. You know, we want to always view this type of a game as a percentage-based game. You have dice rolls, you have plays that the more experience you get, you'll begin to say, this should work, maybe about a third of the time. And if it works about a third of the time, you should only use that play about a third of the time. Usually that's not going to be a very good play to be employing unless you're desperate. Anyway, flank is very nearly collapsed now. We do have the Jean Bart backing up, which is fine. You'll notice right off the bat of the game, though, I forgot to point this out, but we've always been pointing away from this, and this is by design. Usually when ships get in trouble, especially when they're complaining about HE spammers or destroyers, it's with a nose into the enemy position. Whereas if you angle your ship away so that when the danger comes, you can just hit the gas and get out of there. That's going to keep you alive a lot longer. So if you have the option to turn, and usually you do, It's just a matter of employing the turn. Go ahead and make the turn. You know, there's a few ships that are better nose in. We're not going to get into the specifics of those situations right now. But in general, position yourself away, you know, to begin kiting as soon as the situation heats up is a good opening move. They're working on the Jean Bart. You know, he's about to go down. I think we peep his health right there. Yeah, he's about to get killed. Now I'm pinging the guys across the way to come help. But, you know, they've had a massive overload over there. You know, they have probably a 2 or 3 ship advantage on that side, just like this red team had a 2 or 3 ship advantage. I think they had about a 2 ship advantage to start with on this side, because they had the 3 that came over here. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter what advantage it was. Blue had the opportunity to press. You're going to see the red team there is going to be doing essentially the same thing I'm doing here. They're drawing the aggressive overload all the way to the south. What they want to do is kill the ships that can affect the southmost cap and then proceed to capture that. Getting drawn all the way to the southern end of the map or to the northern end of the map like we're doing to this Gneis now, those are mistakes that those players are making. They should be intentional plays by the kiting player, assuming they know what they're doing. But often the kiting player will inadvertently make these strong plays that draw the enemy away from the valuable objectives on the map just because they're running away and they're scared. You'll smell the fear in the air of those players that are fleeing. But it's on you as a player to reject their offer of, you can chase me, yeah, I'm scared, eventually you'll kill me. Reject that offer, because red needs to be focused on the northern cap or defending the southern cap. The last thing they needed to be doing is sending a bunch of ships to chase a Charlemagne all the way to the end of the world. You know, we're almost to the Arctic northern cap on planet Earth in this point in time. We're not relevant to the outcome of the game currently. The only reason we are is because these guys remain within our firing range. They're actively chasing us, and they're giving us the advantage. We have every advantage in the book here. We're sailing away from them, they're sailing towards us. That means our shots travel shorter distances to reach them. Their shots travel longer distances to reach us. We're in a cruiser, we can dodge our shots. They're in a battleship, they can't dodge our shots. If I need to, I can stop firing my guns, become unspotted. He does not have that option. You know, there's advantage after advantage in my favor in this situation. All he has to do is stop pursuing me. Then I'll have to, you know, come up with a plan B. I can either push back into him, in which case the advantages are reversed, or I can go off somewhere else in the map, or I could conceivably continue running away all the way to the edge of the map, if that's what I wanted to do. Those are kind of my options at that point in time. But you take control from these kiting players by ignoring them. When you chase them, number one, they're probably going to kill you, assuming they know what they do, because again, they have all the advantages in the book. And number two, the Gneis now not pressuring the caps, he's not defending the caps. Domination mode is about the caps, not killing Charlemagnes that are way off course. So, bit of a mistake there. Same play that my blue team is making on the southeastern side. If you've been keeping an eye on that, they're getting baited into basically the same tactic by the other team. So, that's kind of why I wanted to highlight this game, and it's a pretty effective Charlemagne game anyways. But why this game works is because basically we slowed down the push. And to answer the question that we presented right off the bat, what do I do when the flank collapses, or what do I do when my team abandons the flank, I don't usually recommend joining them and abandoning the flank. Sometimes you'll be forced to do that, but usually what you want to do is just slow down the advance. Going into this play, in my mind, I'm like, I'm probably going to die. It's almost certain that I'm going to die in this game because I got a 3-on-1 situation, and the more the game develops, the more lopsided that could get. But I'm trying to slow them down. I'm trying to prolong them from killing me, you know, prolong my life in this game, and, you know, be able to do that damage. Not only did we slow the Gneis now down, we drew him off course, we killed him, now we're instrumental in killing this Wichita. This is all borrowed time, you know, this is bonus time. Basically, had I thrown up my arms early in the game, said, you know, this isn't going to work. Let's just go on to the next one, get this over with quickly. Or had I stayed nosing and tried to get in there and duel those Wichitas 2v1 close range, either way I would have died very quickly. So this is all house money that we're playing with, borrowed time, however you want to look at it. Free damage that our team was not really entitled to, except for the fact that we took it from the enemy team. So that's the advantage of this. But you want to slow them down when they have the overload. Slow them down. We've talked about on certain maps like Fault Line, where there's an inherent kiting side and there's an inherent strong side, just due to how they spawn the ships in. Or games like this where those develop just based on who wins the flank, who's more aggressive. You know, if the team's really passive, they're not pushing the flank, then they just inherently turn themselves into the defending team on that flank. If the other team's aggressive, you know, if they're both looking through the telescopes, then it's just a waste of everyone's time. Now we find ourselves in a situation where the attacking flank flipped, basically. And why that happened, why we're still alive, by the way, is the two ships that are south of us in B. We were pinging them early when we were getting overwhelmed and overloaded. And they actually began to start putting some crossfire into the team that was pursuing us. And that's another advantage of kiting away, is if you're not, you know, often you want to be kind of going towards your team. But if you can do it in a way where if they're chasing you, they're kind of pointing at you, then your teammates get shots in the crossfires. That, you know, the broadsides creating those crossfire shots, that's an advantage. But now we've flipped into the attacking team. I'm going to be pinging this Colorado, go, go, go. You know, I understand it's one of the slowest ships in the game. He's probably going full speed here. But what I don't know if he understands or does not understand is he's got a one-shot Charlemagne behind him and another 1 or 2 shot cruiser, that this play needs to happen. And the battleships, if he's doing what he's doing, he's got the gas to the, you know, the pedal to the metal, great. But, you know, we need to get this cap flipped, obviously, score-wise. I'm even getting a little snotty there and shooting at him just because I'm convinced at the time I'm playing this that he's not pushing out, he's just being passive. But watching this back, I think he probably is doing his 19-kilometer max speed there. But again, this play does not work. This Wichita could theoretically kill all 3 of us, or at least 2 of the 3, which would be a disaster if this play doesn't work. Now, we could actually probably just let this Colorado, looking back at this again, we could just let him go out there and do it himself. I mean, the Helena's apparently got more health than I'm recalling, but still, Wichita, broadside Helena, sailing out like that. If the Colorado is not there, if he's not spotted first, if he's not capturing the guy's attention and absorbing at least that first opening salvo, that's a potential dead Helena and 1 or 2 salvos, then I'm going to come around, try and support them. He could theoretically kill me. I mean, it would be a highlight reel play, no doubt about it. And my God, if he managed to kill the Colorado at the same time, got all 3 of us, that would be an amazing play. But in this situation, it's actually not a 0, it's not a 0.5% chance type of a play. It's like a 5, 10, 15% chance. Still very difficult, still very unlikely. But we needed the Colorado to block. He's like the, you know, the tackles in football, the offensive line. You got to kind of you got to set up the ships behind you. So it ended up working out there, but it was a little nerve-wracking getting that play set up. Got him killed, and now we're pushing. This used to be the defensive flank. Now we're pushing, we capture, and the guys on the other flank, I mean, there's only 1 ship left over there, so by its very nature, he's on a defensive flank. Whether or not he wants to play it defensively or not is entirely up to him. If he wants to be aggressive over there, he'll die because he's outnumbered. If not, he'll probably help us win the game. But the rest of this, I think we capture this. I think we go down and capture the southern point. This is the damage that I closed the game with. So rather than draw it out for another minute and a half, we'll go ahead and cut it here. But that's going to do it for that one, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Hopefully that gives you some sort of inspiration on what to do when you are outnumbered. Again, to slow them down, sail away from them. Much better than being aggressive and pushing into them. If you did like the video, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. I do love to hear from you guys. and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.